Hello again, welcome to the second video of Ratchet Repairs. In this video we'll be taking Bumblebee apart and preparing him to include all the mods we have planned for him, which in this video will include removing the wheels from his stocks and basically tearing them apart to make sure that every new mod is going to fit into his body. Things to do when you take him apart: basically you take away the screws and you place them back on the place where they were before, and wherever possible, like on the hands, you can always just carefully slide them off and keep them that way. So without further ado, just carefully take this guy apart and make sure that everything's going to go where they need to go. Yeah, so that's this video. Always when taking a figure apart, make sure that whenever you remove screws, you always put them in the same place you took them out of. That way, whenever you're going to be putting the figure back together again, you always know where you took your parts from and how to put them back in the same positions. Which is always nice to be able to put a figure back together the way you took it apart. And it also helps with painting the figure, that you can make sure that everything works the way it should. In some areas like these, you're going to find that there are ratchet joints. You need to be very careful with those to make sure that you don't lose any of the small parts that make a ratchet joint, like the little clip that actually pops in there and keeps it all together. With the Bumblebee legs, what I noticed is that the piece I'm taking apart right here actually holds the bigger piece in place, so you need to carefully pull it apart, and then you'll come to the ratchet joint, which is hidden in here. There we are. So there's this piece in here that actually, I can find it, get it out so I can show it to you. Yeah, here we go, which is really important because this actually is the ratchet joint. It connects to there and is pushed into place by a little spring, and on here it's attached to this. So if you're going to be taking a figure apart, make sure that you actually put the spring back in first, attach the head piece on top of that before you reconnect the other part, which I currently seem to have misplaced. And that way you can make sure that whenever you're going to be putting the figure back together again, you've got all the parts where they need to be. And if this is your first time working on a model like this, it always helps as well to make sure that when you take it apart, you also make pictures, lots and lots of pictures of what you're going to do, to make sure that you can put them back together again when the time arises. sure that whenever you put in screws that you put them in the way they should be, as in straight to the place where they need to be. And you don't need to put them in all the way, just make sure that it's stuck in the position it needs to be. And then you're good to go. And also make sure that whenever you remove a figure like this, that there are always small pins like these, holding everything in place, and make sure that you don't want to ruin them by being forceful. So patience is key always. And sometimes it helps before you put things together to check out how things were attached, so you can know that you put the screw in the right position. Which will help you immensely when you're going to paint the figure. This piece actually has a lot of things going on here, and most of them are pinned together, so it's not screwed but pinned, which means you can actually not remove any more from this. If you're just going to paint it, it's fine, but if you really need to go and be in there deeper, you might as well get yourself a piece to take the pins apart. For now this is fine because I just need to remove the wheel and then get it ready for paint. The same goes for this area, because I'm going to paint the robot pieces by hand anyway, because I need to change the color a little bit and make the metallic pop a little by adding several shades of metallic, which I'll show in the video when I'm starting to paint it. It just needs to stay together now, and I'm not going to airbrush it, which I'm going to do for the car parts, but that way then you just can keep everything together and make sure that everything looks pretty and nice when you got the time to get it when you're ready to go. And keep in mind that when there's a screw attached to a place with a spring, it pops off easy and it might ruin your chances of finding everything apart. So patience and carefulness is key here. No rush, just get it done. Because apart with Bumblebee, I always forget that it's die cast, but it's also on a hinge able to allow you to just move this piece out of the way, so you don't need to take the screw out anyway, since it's just going to be able to put back in there without any issue. I just realized that I'm taking out two screws that I don't really need to take out at the moment, because I'm going to change the front anyway. So I'll just leave them there. Be careful when you do that, that you always remember where you put them and that you can always find them back easily. As nothing is more worse than finding out that you are missing screws. Like I stated before, always put the screws directly in where you need them to be. That way you never lose them. And here you can also see that the spoiler bit can actually attach there. And is able to fold in with ease with the rest of the body. That way the spoiler's in there and it doesn't affect transformation one bit, which always is helpful. I can always edit the doors later when I'm going to paint them, because at the moment I don't need them. It's always helpful to keep some parts attached so you can know where they need to go whenever you're putting it back together again. We're almost at home stretch, having Bumblebee completely demolished. Ready for some other parts and bits to come off and where they need to go. Always be very careful when you're moving this piece, because there's only one pin holding it in place, and if you ruin that pin, you're going to be in a lot of trouble getting it ever to fit back again properly. You don't need to tighten the screws all the way in, just as long as you know that for sure that they won't be able to get out. You're fine. Once again, careful with this bit. Make sure you don't rush anything or pull or push too hard, making things break, especially with tiny bits like that, which are brittle in its own right. So here we go. Once again, directly attaching the screws where they were before. Just make sure it's in, and then you're golden. These screws here are really hard to get, but they serve a purpose, which I'll come into a little bit later. But you need to be able to take them out, or else the next bit of the issue you're going to face is not going to work. There they go, those were the screws. And now these enable me to take these bits off carefully. And also the head. The reason I did this is because I really need to take these off first. I also won't be able to take off these bits. So here we go. Right, so as you can see, we now got a big pile of Bumblebee parts, and I also took the liberty to taking away the front bits, which now can come apart so that I can actually see if the new pieces I made will fit. So here we have the old front, and what I did is I took the new parts, I only took the front and glued and sanded them together to make sure that they fit where they need to be. Making sure I got a nice, clean Dark for Moon Bumblebee front. Coming together. It's not yet perfect, but it's good enough for now. I need to make sure that I remove all the paint from this bit before I'm able to go on. But next video I will show you how I'm going to take these out and replace them with the ones that are necessary to make a proper movie version. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you, I think, in the next video, where I'm going to also remove the wheels.